Richard Smith, you're the group chair for carbon critical buildings, and I understand most of your work is in the MENA region and in India. What does that mean exactly, carbon critical buildings?
Okay, so carbon critical design is a key subset of sustainability, and it's the subset that addresses climate change and the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. And whilst Atkins fully support sustainable development and sustainable design initiatives, as a culture we have carbon critical design at our heart, because that's the issue that's really pressing mankind at the moment and where we think we have to place most of our efforts. Carbon critical buildings are buildings that have lower greenhouse gas emissions, more suitable sort of material supply chains, add to the quality of life for people in and around the buildings, and represent better value.
I understand that Atkins is very concerned with this. Do you have trouble finding clients who are equally concerned with it?
Like any initiative or new initiative, our clients can only be a small part of the whole. So in practice, we've worked with the top 10% of clients, and of that 10%, quite a few have this on their agenda. Having said that, it is, we don't have lots of clients running forward with demands for carbon critical buildings, although it is increasing all the time.
So you find yourselves being, in essence, kind of promoting this and trying to convince your clients of the value of it.
Yeah, in this region we've promoted it for 10 years. We sponsor the chair in the built environment at the British University in Dubai for the last 4 years. We've had awareness raising roadshows going around for 4 or 5 years now, and we've been training our staff deeply in this in the last 3 years.
Sure.
So a program going back a long time, and learnt and developed over 10 to 15 projects where we've learnt on each one and advanced as we've gone.
Can you point to any in the UAE, which are examples of this? Or elsewhere?
Quite a number. Of course, many of them are confidential, which is a problem.
No, but what you can say.
But talking, moving back to some of the earlier education work we did, where we questioned the way schools were designed in this environment and brought new solutions there and reduced energy consumption, but also made the schools have a much better social value, and it certainly has been reflected in the marks and the performance of the schools. And then we've moved through resort developments, the Bahrain World Trade Center, which is the first building to integrate large-scale horizontal wind turbines, and also a very green building as well, onto other projects here in Dubai, which have set world records and even won things like Wholesome Foundation Awards for this region.
What about your work in India, for example? Has this type of carbon critical building been successful there? Yes,
India has if you like, a chapter of LEED called Lead India. They were there a long time before the rest of the world, about 5 years before the Emirates actually, and there is an agenda there, but probably a very small part of the whole in terms of the Indian market. But a lot of Indian buildings are actually sustainable by their very nature, because they're not over-engineered, they're not air-conditioned, they're made from local materials using local techniques, and it's a different world in India, as I'm sure you appreciate.
We have here and also in many other parts of the world, there's a kind of a belief in we must have the tallest building that there is. Is it possible to build the current tallest building using carbon critical technology?
Yes.
It is possible.
Oh yes. A tall building will always use more energy than a horizontal development of the same size. But when you group tall buildings together and have very high densities of population, and you get the mix right, and you provide local facilities and local amenities, you'll find people don't get into their cars so much. They live within that environment. And the majority of the world's literature now is saying quite significant reductions for high-rise dense development on carbon emissions. So some literature saying up to 2.5 times, and quoting Manhattan as a good example, which surprised me. But you know, don't always believe what you read. But density equals energy reduction. There's no doubt about that.